Tonight on News 3 New Mexico, a record number of people have died from drug overdoses in a 12-month period during the pandemic.
And what will the weekend weather look like? Find out in my full weather forecast.
And a mulleted kid wins a national hair competition. News 3 New Mexico starts right now.
This is News 3 New Mexico, your local source for news, sports, and first weather.
Good evening and welcome to News 3 New Mexico. I'm Marilyn Upchurch.
And I'm Owen Crowley. A Portales man has been sentenced to 20 years in prison for charges that include trafficking methamphetamines. Dante Fawcett was convicted on September 16th of trafficking a controlled substance, conspiracy to commit trafficking, 2 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor, possession of a controlled substance, and possession of a firearm by a felon. These charges stem from a September 2020 visit by the Roosevelt County Sheriff's Office to the home of Fawcett, a registered sex offender. During that visit, officers located methamphetamine, a firearm, ammunition, and paraphernalia. It was discovered Fawcett sold meth to 2 juveniles. A silver alert has been issued for a Clovis man missing since Thursday night. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of 55-year-old man James Sneed is asked to contact the Clovis Police Department at 575-769-1921 or 911. A silver alert is a notification sent out statewide that is similar to an amber alert, but it refers to a missing person who is over the age of 50 and may be in imminent danger. Sneed is described as a black male who is 6 feet 4 inches tall, weighing 258 pounds, with brown eyes and a bald head. He wears glasses and has gold front teeth. The last contact with him was via phone on October 7th when he was traveling from Clovis to Portales.
Well, the village of Ruidoso will hold a public hearing on November 9th to draft a cannabis zoning and regulation ordinance. Comprehensive zoning and other regulations for cannabis call for amendments to the village's exiting zoned districts to align with the New Mexico Cannabis Regulation Act. The draft was the result of a committee which worked for 6 months to collect public input. Village councilors unanimously approved to schedule the meeting as part of the village consent agenda on October 12th. With recreational cannabis sales starting next year, New Mexico's largest community college is offering a program designed to train and certify workers looking to enter the industry. C&M Ingenuity announced a partnership with the New Mexico-based cannabis curriculum provider Seedcrest to offer a 40-hour online training program for up to 100 students this fall. Students will get an overview of the cannabis industry from safety and security protocols to the history of cultivation. The Cannabis Regulation Act, signed into law by Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, requires that rules be in place to allow New Mexico's first recreational sales to begin no later than April 1st, 2022.
Scott, all of our wishes have been answered. It's finally cold, and I just want to hear you say it on the news so that it's official.
Those are not my wishes. I love warm weather.
Well, Owen, let me say, both of our wishes have come true as we can keep expecting this little chilly weather to keep on happening throughout the week. Let's go take a look at some maps. All right, guys, so if we take a look at the maps, we can see that tonight is going to be a little chillier at 29 in Farmington, 23 in Gallup, and 29 in Santa Fe. If we take a look down to the southeast, we can see 33 in Clovis as well as Portales, and a very chilly 36 in Hobbs. Back to Owen and Marilyn at the desk.
Scientists and other workers at one of the nation's nuclear weapon laboratories face a deadline Friday which says to be vaccinated or prepare to be fired. Dozens of workers at Los Alamos National Laboratory are suing over the mandate, saying the exemptions have been unduly denied and that their constitutional rights are being violated. The lawsuit alleges that lab management has been harassing employees and has created a hostile work environment. The plaintiffs include nuclear engineers, project managers, research technicians, and others who have high security clearance for the specialized work they do. The lab has not commented on the lawsuit or revealed the current vaccination rate among workers. New Mexico faces a shortage of housing options for inmates leaving the prison system and in need of a stable place to stay while they transition back into the community. In committee testimony, leaders of the State Adult Probation and Parole Division, along with Transitional Housing Program, said it's difficult to find appropriate housing, especially for geriatric inmates and others who need the mental health services or medical services. Stable housing is a critical part of helping former inmates find employment and succeed after prison. Group living options for ex-inmates range from 24/7 supervision at inpatient programs to halfway houses with no on-site programming. The Corrections Department generally covers housing costs for 1 to 3 months.
New Mexico and the city of Albuquerque have been awarded $54 million in emergency rental aid and another $71 million for future awards, allowing the state to meet a critical federal deadline. The city and state had until September 30th to spend 65% of $186 million in federal funds, or risk having the remainder sent back into the U.S. Treasury. The money is intended to assist families behind on their rent and utilities. Participating households have received on average about $4,000 in rent and $750 for the utilities. The Emergency Rental Assistance Program can cover up to 12 months of owed rent and utilities. An advisory board on political redistricting is deciding on recommendations to the state for realigning the boundaries of U.S. House and state legislative seats across New Mexico. The recommendations of the Citizens Redistricting Committee are not set in stone. New Mexico is using citizen advisory boards for political inclinations without taking redistricting powers away from state lawmakers. New Mexico's Latino and Native American population presents challenges in efforts to unite communities of interest and give minority voters a fair shot to elect candidates of their choice. Well, stay tuned for more news after the break.
But first, here's a look at the financial market.
Welcome back, Eastern New Mexico. I'm Scott Haas, and this is your weather forecast of the week. So we're going to be taking a look at some current temperatures. As we can see, up in Raton, it's about 55 degrees, 57 in Clayton, and 63 in Tucumcari. We take a look over here, 55 in Farmington and 53 in Gallup, 59 in the state's capital of Santa Fe. We're going to take a look down to the southeast where we can see 60 in Clovis as well as Portales and 66 down in Hobbs. Now let's take a look at tonight's lows once again. 36 in Farmington, 32 in Gallup, 43 in Albuquerque, and 35 in Santa Fe. We're going to take a look down to the southwest as we can see 45 in Las Cruces, 42 in Silver City, and 43 in Truth or Consequences. Taking a look down to the southeast, 36 in Clovis, 37 in Portales, and 38 down in Hobbs. Now let's look at tomorrow's highs. We can expect 65 in Farmington, 66 in Gallup, a nice 70 in Clovis as well as Truth or Consequences. Let's take a look down to the southeast at 68 tomorrow in Clovis and 70 in Portales. Now let's look at our 7-day forecast. As we can see, this weekend we'll be getting a little bit of sun, but with temperatures in the low to mid 70s as we progress through the week. On Monday, 86, as well as Tuesday, 81 on Wednesday and Thursday, and for Carlsbad, we'll be wrapping it up with an 80 and cloudy on Friday. Let's take a look at Tucumcari as pretty similar weekend as 70 and 75 for Saturday and Sunday, 81 on Monday, 78 on Tuesday, and wrapping up their week on Friday with 74 and cloudy. Now we're going to take a look at Roswell's 7-day forecast. We can see 71 on Saturday, 76 on Sunday with a whole lot of sun, 86 on Monday, 83 on Tuesday, and you guys will be expecting a little bit of cloud coverage throughout the rest of the week. And we'll do Portales too, why not? So 70, very similar story for the rest from the rest of everybody else. 70 on Saturday, 73 on Sunday, 81 on Monday, wrapping up our week with 75 and cloudy on Friday.
Well, I think this is definitely exciting weather for everyone that's here for family weekend on campus. I know that there's a lot of events going on tonight and tomorrow, and we also have the football game tomorrow night. So it'll probably start out pretty warm, and then as the game goes on, it's probably going to cool down quite a bit.
Yeah,
hey, it's a great chance to buy, ENMU hoodies. Hey, why not? Support the Greyhounds, stay warm, why not? Didn't mean to interrupt you, Scott. This is his time.
Thank you. Appreciate that. But I was pretty much going to say the exact same thing as you, Owen, so thank you very much.
Great minds think alike, and so do we.
That's definitely true. Well, we will be right back with more news after this break. Welcome back. Now, the Biden administration says it plans to reinstate a Trump-era border policy next month to make asylum seekers wait in Mexico for hearings in U.S. immigration court, complying with a judge's order. It hinges on approval from the Mexican government, which has raised concerns that U.S. officials say they are working to address. Mexico wants cases to generally conclude with 6 months and ensure that asylum seekers have timely and accurate information about hearing dates and times. Mexico also wants better access to legal counsels and coordination on when and where asylum seekers are returned. A grim milestone. New data from the CDC shows a record number of people died from reported drug overdoses in a 12-month period during the pandemic. One health expert is calling it a collision of health crises. Here is a look at the new numbers in today's Health Minute with Mandy Gaither.
During the pandemic, a new record high. More than 96,000 drug overdose deaths reported from March 2020 to March 2021, according to new numbers from the CDC.
Each person who has lost their life during this time period leaves behind a family and a community who misses them.
It's an increase of nearly 30% in these deaths from the year before. Vermont had the largest increase in overdose deaths of any state. Reported overdose deaths there rose more than 85% in that time period.
These tragic statistics really speak to the despair that many Americans are experiencing throughout the COVID-19 pandemic.
The CDC says opioids accounted for the highest number of overdose deaths, followed by synthetic opioids, excluding methadone. Dr. Trent Hall's research on the overdose crisis in Ohio was published in JAMA Network Open last year. The addiction medicine specialist at Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center says the increase in the synthetic opioid fentanyl is highly concerning.
Fentanyl is coming to contaminate local drug supplies in new areas, and that's pretty scary.
But Hall says there is hope. Treatment helps, and so can being prepared.
Carry a naloxone rescue kit, as you can see here. This is something that we can all carry around, and in the event that we encounter someone who's experiencing overdose, you can save a life.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Now back to more local news. An oil and gas operator in New Mexico's Permian Basin region agreed to pay the state $90,000 in civil penalties due to a fire that went unreported at a natural gas facility in Eddy County. New Mexico's Oil Conservation announced it reached a settlement with the Enterprise Field Services after the regulator alleged the company failed to report the incident. Initially, a fine of over $204,000 was issued, along with a notice of violation. The fire occurred at Enterprise's Oxy Sand Dunes North Compressor Station in August 2020, causing the release of about 250 barrels of condensate liquid. Since the incident saw a release of more than 25 barrels of condensate liquid, it was labeled a major incident by state officials. This required Enterprise to report it within 24 hours. The company did not report the fire until December 14, 2020. Records show 134 days past the deadline. Texas game wardens are asking for help identifying those responsible for killing 5 pronghorn in late September. The bodies were discovered 1 mile north of Interstate Highway 40, just east of Adrian, Texas. The carcasses were dumped on private land with the skull and horns missing. Texas game wardens stated that they believe this was an act of irresponsible trophy hunting. They encourage anyone with information about the individuals responsible to call the Operation Game Thief hotline at 1-800-792-4263. Information leading to the arrest and conviction of the persons responsible will be eligible for a $1,000 reward.
Well, that is all the news we have for you right now.
Be sure to stay tuned. We'll have sports anchor Andreas bringing you the latest after the break.
Good evening, sports fans. I'm Andres Chavez, and here's a look at scores, news, and upcoming games in the High Plains and across the nation. Starting with MLB, the Dodgers and Giants faced off last night to determine who would punch their ticket to the National League Championship Series. Both teams with the most wins in the league left it all in the ballpark and kept it close the whole way. The two would remain scoreless in the first 5 innings before each team would exchange a run in the 6th. In the top of the 9th with 2 at base, Cody Bellinger, who donned a .165 batting average this season, would be the hero of LA as he would send one into center field, leaving Justin Turner with a run and eventually secure the win for the Dodgers, who won 2-1. Plenty of fans were excited for the thrilling comeback the Dodgers made after trailing the best-of-5 series 2-1.
I'm so excited to bring on the Braves. We're going back to the World Series. We're going to take it again. Back-to-back champions, Dodgers. Let's go! Yeah!
Número uno en California.
We better. We're better. To the TS we go.
The Dodgers will continue their pursuit of back-to-back World Series wins as they take on the Atlanta Braves in Game 1 of the NLCS on Saturday. Moving back to Eastern Athletics, Greyhound Soccer competed at home Wednesday night against Oklahoma Christian, and we are here to discuss the conclusion of the game after giving a live update during Wednesday's broadcast. After 90 minutes of hard-fought soccer, the Hounds would fall short. After a goal came from Alida Casillas, the Eagles would score 2 goals in the second half, including the game-sealing penalty kick that was made with less than 2 minutes left in the game. The Hounds will be back on the field tomorrow morning as they face off against Texas A&M International. Kickoff will start at 11 a.m. Shifting to Greyhound football, tomorrow evening will kick off the return of one of the biggest rivalries in the High Plains as the ENMU Greyhounds will face off against the West Texas A&M and Buffaloes. This weekend will mark the 33rd edition of the Wagon Wheel game as both teams are looking to lift the illustrious Wagon Wheel trophy and the Hounds look to bring it back to the halls of Eastern New Mexico. The matchup between these two has been memorable as both teams have exchanged wins. Let's look at the last 4 matchups between the two. In 2016, the Hounds secured the win in the rivalry game. For those who remember, the Hounds were trailing 28-14 at halftime before ending the game on a 25-2 run and win it 39-30. In 2017, the Hounds secured the win 28-14. The Hounds' last win was in 2018 when they shut out the Buffs with a score of 28-0, marking the first Buffalo shutout in the rivalry since 1992. And finally, in 2019, the Buffaloes won the most recent match 2 years ago with a score of 35-14. At 6 p.m. tomorrow, we will see who prevails in the rivalry matchup. Before we go into break, be sure to go to Greyhound Arena at 6 p.m. as the Eastern New Mexico Greyhounds face off against the University of Arkansas Fort Smith Lady Lions. Tonight's matchup will be the first game of their 2-game Dig Peak weekend. Their second game will take place tomorrow at noon against Oklahoma Christian. Well, that's all the sports I have for you tonight, but be sure to stay tuned as we will get back to the desk with Marilyn and Owen after the break.
Welcome back once again, weather fans. Today I am here to bring you your final weather update. So let's take a look at our weekend updates for the lovely city of Carlsbad. We can see on Friday, which is today, 71 and sunny. If we take a look at Saturday, we see a very nice 69 as well as sunny. And on Sunday, same story, it's sunny. 73 though. If we take a look at Santa Rosa, we can see on Friday a little bit of cloud coverage at 60. On Saturday, it'll be a little sunnier at 68, and Sunday will be sunny and 75. And that is all the weather I have for you guys today. Let's go back to the desk.
A majestically mulleted kid wins a national hair competition. Then with his winnings, he showed just how generous he can be. And a den of vipers is discovered in a social neighborhood. Coming up in today's Take a Look at This with Jeremy Roth.
What this Arkansas boy did after winning a national best mullet competition proves he doesn't just have a spectacular head of hair, but a heart of gold to match. 11-year-old Alan Baltz has been growing his prodigious plumage since the beginning of the pandemic. So when he found out there was a cash prize, he decided to enter the USA Mullet Championship. But it's not what you think. After winning the kids division, Alan was less party in the back and more business in the front. He decided to donate all $2,500 of his winnings to local foster care organizations.
Well, I know how it feels to be in foster care, so I just thought maybe it would be sweet to do it.
And just like his impressive hair, his community is behind him. Alan's generosity has inspired more than $3,000 in donations to 2 separate foster care organizations. So what's next for Alan? A haircut, maybe?
Nobody's gonna touch that.
Speaking of hair-raising stories, after spotting a snake going under their house, a California homeowner called in a local expert for help. But what he found under there was shocking.
Total of 92 rattlesnakes underneath her house.
You heard that right. He removed 92 rattlesnakes. The handler says this veritable viper pit was likely caused by drought conditions, and not only was he not rattled by the find, he was downright giddy.
I was tickled pink. I wish that happened every day to me. Give me a 300. I mean, as long as I got enough containers to put them in and come back enough, I'll do it all day long.
Ugh. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Well, that is all the news we have for you all tonight.
Thank you so much for watching, and have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.